Okay, you guys asked for a tutorial with the recipe, and here it is. Today I made a jalapeno cheddar bread and a garlic cheese bread. The ingredients here, I'd separated them all just to make it easier for the video. You have oil, eggs, yeast, warm water, salt, sugar, and flour. Now start by mixing your yeast in with your warm water and let it sit for a good 5 minutes. I just use active dry yeast. It works really well, and I keep it in the fridge. I use a stand mixer with a dough hook. You can make this if you don't have a stand mixer. You just have to knead it by hand until it looks like it's a nice soft dough, and if you pull up a chunk of the dough and you can stretch it between your hands and see the light through it, it's done. Now literally dump all the ingredients into the bowl, add the dough hook, and let it mix. After it mixes for a while, mine ended up being a little bit sticky, so it sticks to my hand here. You're going to want to add another scoop of flour. I just use a little handful. Dump it right in and turn it back on. If you're not going to use a stand mixer and you're going to mix it by hand, flour the surface of your countertop and keep adding in flour until it's not sticky anymore. Okay, just scoop out some of the flour and dust your countertop with it. I use a bench scraper just to scoop out all of the dough onto the countertop. You can use a spatula, you can use your hands, it really doesn't matter. Now gather all the dough together. When you stretch it like this, you should be able to see light through it. That lets you know that your dough is ready. What I'm doing here is just kind of putting it all together into a nice round ball with a smooth top. Now take your bowl that you just used. I use my oil spray. You can just drizzle some oil in there, it doesn't matter what kind. Pop it in the bowl and then spray the top, or you can just coat the top of it by rubbing the top of the ball into the bowl. Now I covered mine with a damp towel and let it rise in a warm spot for about 2 hours. We live where it's winter here and it doesn't rise as fast for me. In the summertime, it's a lot less time to rise. After it's doubled in size, you're going to dump it onto your counter and divide it into 2 equal-sized loaves. Set one aside, and you're going to take it and you want to roll a nice thin rectangle. Doesn't need to be perfect, just roll it as best as you can. If it sticks to the counter, just add a little bit more flour underneath and keep rolling it out. Once it's nice and flat, I'm going to take some melted butter and I'm going to add in some minced garlic. You can chop up your own. I just use the jar. It's just much faster. Mix that together and brush the entire area with the melted butter and garlic. Make sure you get all the way to the edges. It'll just help when you roll this up for the edge to stick to the entire roll. I'm also sprinkling some garlic powder for added measure because why not? I also sprinkled this with some parsley. Now freshly shredded mozzarella cheese is what I chose. You can really choose whatever cheese you would like. Put as much on or as little as you want. Now I want you to roll it from the short side all the way down. I take it by the ends and stretch it as I roll it so that the ends don't end up being really tapered. Now you're going to take a knife or a bench scraper, whatever you have, and slice this down the middle, but leave the end intact. Just makes it easier to keep the dough together. Now twist one over the other, leaving the cut side up. Smush the end together to keep it closed. Now I used a parchment lined loaf pan, one that you would bake banana bread in. Cover it with a damp towel and set it somewhere warm to rise again. I'm going to clean this up and then we'll do the jalapeno cheddar bread. Same thing. Dust the counter with some flour, roll it out into a nice rectangle. Again, it does not need to be a perfect rectangle. It will work out just the same. I used some shredded cheddar cheese and diced up jalapenos. I started by sprinkling this and realized shortly that I would just use the entire bag. Use as much again or as little as you want. Now, time for the jalapenos, and I did learn, definitely use a glove for jalapenos after you've chopped them up. I sprinkled as much on there as I wanted, and again, take the edges and roll it from the short side all the way to the end. Again, none of this needs to be perfect, it's just fine. Cut it down the middle like we did with the last loaf. Turn the cut side up and twist it one side over the other. Pinch the ends together and place it in another parchment lined loaf pan. And gather up anything that has fallen onto the counter and just sprinkle it right on top. Don't let it go to waste. Cover it with the same towel and let it rise. Mine took about 45 minutes. Again, my house is a little bit chilly. Here we're making an egg wash, which is just 1 egg, a little bit of water, and mix this up just like you're making scrambled eggs. Now you can take a silicone brush, a pastry brush, whatever you have, and brush the top of both loaves. This is going to bake at 375 for about 30 minutes. Looks like this. Enjoy. Jalapeno cheddar.